Hello, hello. Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Van. I'm Van, and I have my very first ever guest on this podcast. And I thought, what better first guest to have than the woman that made me?
Hi, everyone.
So this is
Angelica.
It
I'm
is.
Savannah's mom.
I just thought, who else knows me better? Who else can give us like the better inside scoop, better advice, all of that than my mom? So welcome.
Hi, honey. Thank you for having me.
Hello. I love her radio voice. She's like, hi. So why am I here, Mom?
You're here because you are celebrating with us our marriage. So me and her stepdad got married in June and had the honor of having you here with us then.
Both times.
Yeah.
Two flights.
Yeah. Because,
Why not?
Yeah. So I had the honor of having you here when we got married and you walked me down the aisle. And then we are in October to celebrate our union with our family.
And boy, was it a union.
Oh, yeah. It was quite the union party, and quite the celebration.
Yeah, Mom, I guess we can just kind of get into some tea. So 4 people got kicked out last night.
Yeah, what's a wedding without a little drama, right? So, yeah.
And alcohol.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I would like to say I was very well behaved.
Yeah, yes.
That's usually not the case, but I looked like a saint compared to everyone else.
Yeah, you did, honey.
I know. Anyways, so, Mom, who are you? What do you want to share? Am I actually Hispanic? Like, these are all burning questions that the people have because no one wants to believe me. So do you want to say, like, maybe our background? And I don't know, what do you want to share with the people? What do you want them to know?
Well, Savannah certainly is Latina.
Thank you. From my mother herself.
Yes, she certainly is Latina. I am born and raised here in Las Cruces, New Mexico, where my mother is actually from Mexico. So, yeah. So that, yes, very, very, very strong, Mexican and Latina blood in her, even though, she might not look it. She does carry a lot of her Spaniard
Yeah,
ancestor
that's where it's
traits.
from. I know. No one believes me because I have blue eyes and because, like, I look the way I look. I'm like, I don't know what, they're like, you don't look Mexican. I'm like, what am I supposed to look like? Like a quesadilla? Like, I don't know what you want me to look. What does that mean? What does that mean? They're like, you don't. And I'm like, because I have blue eyes. Which milkman? I don't know.
No, actually, you get to thank your great-grandmother for those. Your great-grandmother, Angelita, had beautiful blue eyes just like you.
Who was very Mexican.
It's very Mexican, very Spaniard.
I think that's where I get these,
yes.
like, lighter traits.
Yes, so, yeah, especially in my travels to Spain, see the strong resemblance culture to, being lighter skinned, lighter hair, colored eyes, and throughout our family, see some of the cousins, and stuff like that. I think people think like because you're Hispanic, you're Latina, you have to have a certain look.
Yeah.
Or have this certain way about you. I mean, but it really is, I think it just depends, where your bloodline's from. And so that's, yours is very strong. And yeah, so the blue eyes and the light fair skinned is, generations before us. But yeah, no, for those are in doubt, yes, Savannah is very much Hispanic and Latina in her.
Tell that to the casting directors. They're like, but you don't look it. And I'm like, well, now you're kind of going against the whole point of including everyone and wanting equal opportunity because now you have this like narrative of what like a Hispanic woman is supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I was like, so you're actually not helping the cause. Yeah. And everyone's like, well, do you speak Spanish? No.
And it's not for a lack of trying, people. It is not for a lack of trying. Growing up, especially in New Mexico. But yes, I mean, my first language was Spanish because my mother, But then in growing up, I think because I don't know for us, especially after we moved to Arizona from Las Cruces.
Yeah, you kind of like lose it.
You do lose it. And it is one of those things. And for those of you who speak different languages, multiple languages, you also know that if you don't stay up on it, you don't use it all the time. Yeah, you do kind of lose it and it takes a while to get back into it. But especially not being here in Las Cruces surrounded by, cousins and her grandmother and where you do,
I think if I would have been raised here, I would easily, like there wouldn't have been an option not to speak Spanish because like my grandma and everyone, like that's all they spoke. But I think because we were a bunch of white people in Arizona, so it's like that kind of,
yeah, you kind of lost it.
It wasn't a thing.
We made it a point at home to have it to speak to you in Spanish. But since she was actually, I remember she was about 2 years old. Pops was visiting, so Pops is my dad. And of course, when he's around, we would speak Spanish or Spanglish. And I remember we were talking and Pops would talk to you and I would talk to you because we really wanted her to, grow up knowing the language just like we did. But she would always cry. Like we would speak to her in Spanish and she would cry. And we're like, what the heck? And I couldn't figure it out. And it was Pops he goes, because the language can be very strong or very vocal. It's loud,
It's a lot more like intense.
Yeah, and I think he's just like, he's like, I think you thought we were mad at you.
Yeah.
So she just didn't she just wasn't really embracing it.
Didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work, guys.
Point being, I don't speak Spanish, but I am still Hispanic.
And I think you understand it, though. I mean,
I do understand it.
Yeah, and I think it's just like the words, don't always come to you, but I think if you put your mind to it,
like when I'm with my family, I'm like, I know what you guys are saying, I know what grandma, like I can keep up, but it's the point of like talking back. And like men that I always date, they're like, well, if you can't speak it back, you don't know it. And I'm like, I do know it.
Yeah.
I just get embarrassed. So I'm like, if I'm not confident in it, I'm not gonna be like, esto quieres. Like I'm just gonna be like, quiet.
Because you'll talk to grandma and
Well, I have to.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only way.
Yeah.
Anyways, the rumors aren't true. Are true. I don't know. Point being, this is my mother. We love it. I love coming back and just visiting because I'm like, okay. It reminds me that I'm not white, which is nice. It's going to be scary. Okay, so I feel like let's just kind of get into it and let's get into the real tea. Okay, so we just got some like juicy pictures sent to me and I was showing my mom, and that leads me to Italian man because, he's obviously with the girl that he cheated on me with and like posting about her, doing all the things to be like, see, I'm so much happier. I'm so much better. And he's probably like hiding a bunch of other girls, but I just showed my mom, and I'm curious, how do you feel that we both got fooled by this man?
Yeah, because
I've never seen my mom more confident in me talking to a man. She was like, oh my God, is this gonna be like my son-in-law? Oh my God, like you guys look so alike, like this is soulmate energy. So you were wrong.
I missed the mark on that one.
And you're always right, which is the scary thing.
Yeah, but I think you also have I think we both have like a really good gut instinct feeling, and I have a good read on people most of the time. Clearly missed it on this one.
Which, I mean, I feel like, okay, trust me 100% because I had that weird gut feeling. But yeah, how do you feel that you got so fooled? And like now, like the pictures I show you of seeing him with like another girl and just being like, he was just with my daughter 2 weeks ago.
Well, that pisses me off. But I think not only as a mother, but just as a woman too.
Yeah.
And I've asked you this, it's like, yes, it upsets us. And I go, but what point of it really upsets us? Like what like burns in you? And like you said, is it because you got played? Mm-hmm. Is it because you feel like you gotten played and feel like a fool? And you were looking through these rose-colored glasses in a sense, because I think we always want to give people the benefit of the doubt. Like we still want to believe, we all still want to believe in true love. We all still want to believe that there is that one person out there for us that is going to not only bring joy and happiness into your life, but still let you be you, right? And just in what you were telling me about him and seeing the similarities, that's why I was just like, okay, well, like you said, you had the same interests. You felt that vibe. You felt that like, okay, yeah, that connection and how easy it was to talk to somebody. And that's how I always like feel about a relationship, even going through several different relationships and feeling like, I'm like, if it's work, it's not for you.
Well, and I think that was the thing. Like my mom was with it from the jump because you obviously knew that I was going to go on a boat with this man because I was like, check my location, make sure I'm not still in the ocean in 10 hours. And if I am, well, it was a nice run. But that's the thing is like from the jump, because I also interviewed him. I never posted it and now I never will, or maybe I will, I don't know. Interviewed him for my on the street stuff. And it's like, you even said like in that video, you're like, oh, you can just like see something. Like there was just like this undeniable.
There was that attraction, that chemistry, that vibe, and just in general, and maybe some of you viewers, listeners have always felt like, have you ever seen couples together and you see them and you're like, yeah, they look good. Like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Which I feel like I've never had that.
Yeah. But, and then you see others and you're like, I don't get it. And you're like, but hey, if it works, good, good for you, and all, but I think we've all kind of like, yeah, that works. And I think when I saw the video and I'm like, yeah, that kind of works. I see the energy and I just saw this playfulness in you. And I think you're sometimes can be kind of very boarded off, and like, okay, I don't know. But you were just so carefree and just happy. And that's the vibe I picked up. And I think that's where that energy was coming from. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then the more you told me about it, I'm like, okay, he sounds okay.
He just kept showing up.
Yeah, and
again and again. Like with the visa stuff, you're like, wow, Savannah, he's still, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, if a man wants to be a part of your life or wants to be with you, wants to see you, they will not stop until that, until they're there, because that's how important it is to them. And those that give up, and they're like, okay, yeah, it's not worth it. And because I thought, oh, he really has nothing to lose. You know what I mean? When he was going through the process, because I'm like, okay, it's like, yeah, I met you. Okay, yeah, we vibed. Yeah. But he could have called it quits. It's like, you know what? This is too much damn work for me.
He could have just stopped texting. Yeah. Like, it was the easiest out.
And it was just like, okay, cool. But he didn't. He kept still pushing it. And I think that's why, to me, like, when a man makes an effort and really is jumping through those hoops, it's like, well, that intention is there for them. Like, okay, they're really showing you that they really do care. They really, because anybody else, like I said, shit, some men don't even drive an hour to see you, much less coming from another freaking country to come.
Yeah, that's what he would tell me all the time. He's like, I've dated girls where they're like a 2-hour bus ride away and this and that. And he was like, and it was good for like a month, and then it wasn't. Which, it's like, now connecting the dots, it's kind of funny, because I'm like, oh, this is just your pattern. He did tell me how he would go and he was dating this girl and he would go on a train and see her every weekend. He was like, yeah, but I was still like talking to other girls.
Yeah. And
I was like, he was like, we never had the exclusive talk. And I remember being like, oh, if a man was coming out to like see me all the time on a train, like, I would think like we're dating. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, and then I just got bored of that. And I was just like, oh. And he would even tell me like, oh, yeah, bored. And my parents are asking me like, why are you doing all this? Like, you get so bored easily. And he told me word for word, he's like, yeah, but when I'm in love. And like, I do anything for them. And that's what I'm doing for you. And so it's so funny to now take a step back and be like, oh no, you just get obsessed for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like that. And I would always be like, oh, you were playing her. And he was like, no. And, or that's who I used to be. That's that was always, even on this trip, that was his key wording of like, oh yeah, I used to be like this. Or like, oh, when I know someone is loyal to me, I'm loyal to them. But if they're playing me, like, I'll play the game.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, bitch, what the hell was this? Because I wasn't playing anything. And now to see the pictures I see of him like in France with this girl, I'm like, okay, like,
so
you'll do the train.
Yeah.
You'll do that. And then you'll get bored again. I'm just like, oh, I'm seeing the cycle and why you're 31 and single.
Yeah, and I'll go, one of the things you said, it's like, he kept telling you, and he told you, and you questioned, like, okay, but, and he's like, oh no, but I've changed. But when people tell you or show you who they are, believe who they are.
Exactly. And that's why I was like, I'm seeing it, and that's not who you are. So, and I remember telling Sophia, one of my best friends who met him and everything, and I told her before the trip, I was like, I don't know, like, he was a player, he was this, like, I don't know. Because again, I just had that gut feeling, and I was looking at his Instagram, and I was this and that. And she was like, Savannah, but we all were. Like, you know what I mean? She's like, you were. Like, I was like, okay, one, I've never been a player. I might have been like single and free.
Yeah.
But I've never done that anyways. But she was like, well, we all had like our wild moments. Like, that's what our 20s are. And I was like, okay, you're right. And you know what I mean? That's how he would play it off. But I'm like, you're talking about shit you did like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Like, and clearly are currently doing. So it's just like, if every single time that they tell you a story, it's like, oh, but I'm not like that. It's like, but you did it.
Yeah.
But you are. And even when I caught him and it was like, oh, I'm not a liar. Like, I've never done this. I'm like, but you did. Like, I'm not like this. I'm like,
and
you are.
People can change. I do believe in that. But I think they have to be willing to do it for themselves, because it's something that they want to do, not to prove a point or to look better for someone else. Because if, like anything in life, if you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for somebody else, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. And that's on anything. And same thing, in a relationship, to say, oh, until I meet the right one, then I'm going to change. No, bitch. Change because you want to change, and you want to be a better man. You want to be a better person. You want to be, have all these things to be able to find your one, because you're really just, you're never going to find them, because, well, clearly there's something missing in a person, something that they're seeking, something that they're trying to fill within themselves, whatever that might be, like their ego, their, whatever it is. So no matter what, somebody can tell you, well, I'll change and I'm going to change for you. No, change for yourself. Once you're good, like, I'm done with that life. I really want, I don't want to be a player. I don't want to be dating 3 women at a time. And I'm really ready to find a wife, start a life, have, then you can leave that behind and they can start putting that.
Yeah. And I think that is the thing, is like, he would still go out and party every single night. And I was like, okay, well, it's Italy, it's different cultures. And, you know, that's what he would play it on. But he'd be like, oh, well, if you were here, like, I would be staying at home and, like, you know, being this good boy. And, like, yeah, to your point, it's like, why does it take me being there? Like, why are you 31 and partying every single night with, like, 25-year-old? No, if that's how you wanted to be, that's just how you would be. Like, you like this lifestyle. And
it's
that's
kind of
fine.
like you said, you know, whether you had the conversation of being exclusive or you're like, well, I took it like we were. And he's like, well, hell, we weren't even in the same country, so how do you expect it?
We had that conversation many times.
But you see, it's just like, oh, I had that level of expectation and respect. And I think that's what pisses us off sometimes. And maybe it's because, and I'm not going to say like because men and women, but I think sometimes, I know for myself, I have a set expectation. If you see that, you know, you're talking to me all the time, and you're communicating it and you're going out of your way to be a part of my life and want to learn more about me, you know, and even as the months go on, it's like there's sometimes that unspoken word and set expectation that you're going to give me that same respect that I'm giving you. Just be honest. And I don't know, some people are just so afraid of just really speaking like, okay,
clearly.
Savannah, you're there, I'm here. Okay, maybe not exclusive, but I'm really, really into you and I want to see where this goes. But just know you're continue to go do you, whether that means dating other men, doing whatever, and I'm going to do the same. If we meet up, and I think had you taken that approach, like, and
It's been amazing.
and you know things like really feel right, then we can go ahead and take it to that next level, and maybe you start setting a different set of expectations.
That would have been perfect.
see,
Like,
and that's-
but it's the fact that it was like from the jump, like we're loyal, we're exclusive, him bringing up that conversation every single time,
Yeah.
him being the one leading that, him being the one like every time he goes out, like I'm gonna be good, and like,
Yeah.
hey, when you go out, just know like you have a boyfriend, and
yeah,
like,
so
that's where it's like so disrespectful. But anyways, to the point of how do you feel that you were fooled?
well, it hurts. I mean, anytime anybody is fooled, it hurts because you feel like a fool. And I think that's just kind of our internal ego. Like we question ourselves like, damn, how could I have been so wrong? How, you know, I thought I was vibing, I was feeling this. Because then it makes you feel like maybe my judgment and a person, forget a man, but I know we're talking about a man, but this is just in general. You can get that vibe, you know, and you're like, oh, somebody backstabbed you, somebody hurts you, somebody. So you still get that like, damn. And I think what pisses us off and hurts us is that we then question our own, you know, our own
intuition
and our own gut. It's like, damn, was I really that off? At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, was I fooled? Okay, yes, it hurts, and it hurt me more to see you hurt. And then I'm like, fuck, you know, that SOB and stuff like that, he hurt my girl. So Mama Bear is going to come out and try to, you know, be protective. And then I'm like, but yeah, I was being fooled as a mother because I saw a different you, you know, and there's always that, like I said, you want to believe in love. You want to believe in that. And then like, okay, well, shit, well, that sucks. And it hurts.
Me, shit.
But, you know, I really missed the mark. And I think that's what hurt. It's like, damn, I really did not see that coming.
I know.
I know you didn't see it coming. And then clearly I didn't see it coming because I told you, you will know, like once you meet up, like you will know within 6 hours, shit, man, I did not make the right decision to come here.
Right.
Because it's just totally off. But it wasn't. It was amazing. It was great. So, and then like I said, you know, some people are just good at hiding shit. And some,
Well, not good enough.
yeah. But you know what? And I will say this, whatever is done in dark comes to light.
Oh, 100%.
Always. And I don't care if it is in a couple of months, in a couple of years, and, you know, it could be a freaking decade. And you're like, I know, you know, and you always had that doubt. And like I said, you can get played, people can lie, but it is always true. It's gonna come out eventually because you just can't keep up with it, you know, or somebody
slip up somewhere.
Well, not only them, but if you ever notice, it's like it's almost somebody else that outs them without even knowing that. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I feel like one of his friends would have fucked up at some point. Yeah. And I was surprised because it's like I look back and I'm like, wow, like while you were dating her and stuff, like your friends would be like, Savannah, we love you, and I'm like, how like. And they were drunk and stuff. I'm like, what if you accidentally sent her that? Or like me, I'm like, at some point there was going to be a mix up as like it got more and more serious. And it's just crazy. And it's crazy to see who he's on the trip with in France because it was the person, well, not the girl, but like the guy that he's with. Because I'm like, you're the guy that messaged me. So it's just like, no one has loyalty here. No one has loyalty. One of the friends that had sent me the picture of them together, and I replied and I was like, he looks so different with her. Like, he does not, I was like, he looks like miserable. Like, he does not look like happy and whatever. And my friend, she said such a good line that I feel like many people should hear. You know, she's like, yeah, you're right, he does look so different. That is crazy, like such a comparison. Because then I sent her like a picture of us together and she's like, oh wow. And I said, that's just crazy that that's who he decided to like have, and like that's what he wanted to ruin it for. And she goes, Savannah, he didn't choose her, he was left with her because you didn't stay.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's true.
Those are bars. He did not choose her. He was left with her because the stronger woman walked away.
Exactly.
And that's that.
And the stronger woman knows her worth.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like, fine. And I've always said this, it's like, if you have to choose, don't choose me.
Exactly.
Because I should never be a choice.
And that's what I said to him. He was like, I was going to choose you on this trip and I was going to tell you I chose you. And I said, well, now that's not an option because I'm removing myself from this. If you couldn't be dead set on me like you were this whole time and then it took that to distract, I don't want to be here. Like, you don't, you actually don't get to choose. And that's why you didn't tell me, because you knew. And he said that. He's like, but I knew if I told you, you would cancel the trip. And why would I cancel the trip? Because you knew I was too strong of a woman. You knew I was too set on who I am. And that's why the one that you still have is the one that was okay with you lying. So you're going to take it. Why wouldn't you? It's better than you being left alone.
Yeah.
Because you clearly can't be.
Yeah, and it's just,
She said it perfectly.
It was,
I was like, bars. Like, I was like, you are so right. I was like, that, like, did something in my brain where I was like, you're right, he didn't choose her. Because if he did choose her, and if it really was this like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, Savannah, I met the one and I just didn't know what to do, you wouldn't have been the way you were with me on the trip.
Well, not only that, because you're right, but it's like, if he literally had just found the love of his life, soulmate, 3 weeks before he used to go on a trip with you, it would have been like, you know what, it's been great talking to you, but at this point, you're in another freaking country. It's like, it's not like you had to worry about him driving down or you showing up to his house and like getting all crazy. But it's like, you could have just, just cut it and walked away and closed that chapter in his life and let you be.
And that's what I said. And he was like, but I knew that there was something. I'm like, you are so stupid. And when we had our very last phone call, he was like, being manipulative and trying to spin it after she blocked me. And he was like, well, didn't you notice I was being not as sweet to you the last 3 weeks? I said, oh, you mean when you wrote me the longest love letter I'd ever gotten? Oh, you mean when you canceled our original Airbnb because it wasn't good enough and then you replanned the entire trip? Oh, like, I was like, oh, you mean when you did all the stuff? And I was like, when it was my birthday, when we would FaceTime, and when you would get giddy just on FaceTime with me and be like, I have such a crush on you, oh my god. And all your friends would be like, Savannah, we love you. No, I didn't notice that you weren't being as sweet.
Yeah.
And when you would send me voice memos of like, Mama Mia, you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Like, that was all 3 weeks ago. Yeah. Don't try and play this, because if it was really her, it would have been her. And it wasn't. But now that's all that you have left.
Yeah, and so good luck to you.
So enjoy. That, you kind of touched on it a little bit. And I think this is something really good, that it was like definitely mama bear of you. And when I was crying too, you were like, okay, but why are you crying? Like, are you crying because you're angry? Are you crying because you're sad? Are you crying because you thought you lost the one? It took me a minute to reply to you, because I was just like, I'm crying. And you're like, you could be crying for multiple reasons, but what do you think it is? And I was like, okay, I actually have to like reflect on why I'm upset right now. I'm not crying because I thought I lost the one, obviously, and I went through all the emotions with you, but I was like, I'm crying because it's like, I'm now scared for future me, because I'm not going to trust myself. And because trust was already such a huge thing, as we've like touched on, and as I told the story, that was like on our first date, I told him about that. It's that, and you can testify to this. I said my second thing was, for the first time in my 29 years of living, I could see myself marrying this man. Like, if you know me, you know I don't want kids. I don't want this. Kids are fucking disgusting to me. But on our date, he asked me, like, how many kids do you want? And for whatever fucking reason, 2 kids came out of my mouth, which that has never, like, on any
Believe
date.
me, when she told me, my mouth dropped, and I looked at my husband, and I said, we actually might get grandkids from her. And even he was just like, what? And that's why that was another thing, because I know, which is fine to have that opinion. You've made that choice. But for you to do a 360 on it, I was just like, okay. Wow. And which is another thing, as to like why I thought, okay, yeah, maybe.
That's why I thought. Because I was like, my body is having this. I was like, 2? I want none. I was like, oh my God, just came out of my mouth. But that was like, that's what makes me scared, because I was like, oh, I had, like, you've seen me live with exes. And I remember you've asked me in the past, like, oh, do you see yourself marrying them? And I'd be like, sure. Yeah, I'm living with them, so I guess. Yeah. But this is the first man where I was like, oh, I have this, like, this could be my, like, this is my husband. That's what's like upsetting. It has nothing to do with like the idea of him or getting over him. Like, getting over him was so easy. I was over him by the time I got home, because I was like, I won't say mean things because I'm a nice woman, but there's reasons. And I was just like, it's more so just me and like what I know it's going to do to me in my future.
And I think that's why I asked the question, because it was a roller coaster of emotions, right?
Oh.
And I know how hurt you can be when you go through something like that. And I think it was just that self-reflection to kind of just step back. Okay, I've been crying, but now why? Like, what's this anger? And like, what is my body like trying to release? Like, what am I trying to get rid of? And what is really pissing me off that is making me cry or hurting me? You're never going to trust yourself again.
But and I was talking to a friend about this like the weekend after it happened. Same thing had happened to her in a different context, but either way, she got cheated on. And she was like, I had this gut feeling. I was searching Instagram and I was looking through stuff just like you were. And in that moment, like after and reflecting, she was like, I've realized that if I ever have this feeling to search for something, that is reason enough for me to walk away.
That's a red flag right there.
She was like, if my body, and I, you know, I told her the story and she was like, you were so anxious, you were so this, like even on the trip, the man was like feeding me because I was so anxious, let alone knowing that it was the man holding the knife in front of me. That is reason enough for me. I don't have to wait to find the proof. She's like, I know the truth always comes out, but I'm not going to sit around and wait for the truth. She's like, if I have this gut feeling that something's off, I don't care if I don't have proof, that is reason enough. And I was like, you're right. I was like, but unfortunately now every time I'm going to be like, well, I have a gut feeling like something's bad. I think as time goes on, and I think like as I've talked to more men, unfortunately, but just like friends and whatever, just being and seeing their reactions of being like, this man is vile. What the hell? I've been like, okay, like I know that eventually like I'll be like, not every man sucks. And like that'll kind of go away.
I think as time and like as older new experiences come up, things happen to us, and you will trust yourself again, you know. And I don't think you'll always lead with your gut. You will learn to lead with your heart and see the good in others. Yeah, we are tainted by past experiences, not only of ourselves or of friends and loved ones and society, you know. But like I said, I do believe that as time progresses, you will learn to kind of let that guard down again and just believe, because all of us want to believe, you know, and all of us really do just want love and happiness and union with somebody that, you know, you're going to gel with. And, you know, and even when you do find that one person, it's not easy. You're still going to have insecurities. You're still going to have some doubts, but you know what, when it's in front of you and it's there and you can question and you can say, this is how I feel about trust, this is how I feel about, you know, being in a relationship, this is how I felt about men in the past, and this is why. And you know, they'll show their true colors of who they really are, and then you'll find somebody who is genuinely going to love you for your past, your present, and your future, and whatever that might be. And even in that relationship, it's not going to be perfect. And I think we have to stop. We have to remember that none of us are perfect. We all have pasts. We've all done shit. We've all hurt somebody else. But as long as you can share that with your person that you finally do, and they can respect that and they understand that, and they know that they're not perfect either, and they come with their own baggage, and how much of that baggage do you want them to unload on you? And that's going to help you kind of restore that faith in, you know, in men and being able to move forward. So it's just going to take time. But I think now you're going to have, you know, I know your guard's up, but in time it'll start coming down. You're going to start feeling a little bit more faith. Yeah. Are you going to be a little more like, you know, I'm not going to trust you, but I don't know that that's the best, because I think sometimes we just literally have to believe that not everybody's going to hurt us. But I know we have a hard time with that. I know I've had a hard time with that in the past. It's like, okay, well, yeah, everybody's just going to hurt me, so I'm just going to have this wall up. And but then people will show up and be who they are, and even the person that you love is going to hurt you. But it's just how much of that is are you willing to take? You know what I mean? Because like I
Yeah.
said, we're not perfect. We're never going to be perfect. I like to say is like, you might not be perfect, and I'm not perfect, but somehow we're perfect for each other. Mm-hmm. And if we can live with that and learn from that and know that, again, it goes back to the expectations that we set for ourselves in that relationship and be honest and communicate that, then I think you're good. But like I said, it's just going to take time.
Yeah, I think time is definitely a big thing. Friends would always say like, oh, well, truth comes out in time. True colors come out in time. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, but you know what? It does. I mean,
I only have so much time.
well, but look at it this way. Would you rather now be going through what you're going through, and not that it's fun,
No, it's
right?
not.
Okay, if you literally step back and reflect from your relationships and stuff, and saying, had you really married somebody, okay, like honestly, just look at it. If you'd really had married somebody and you found everything out, like you'd be divorced by now. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So what's the good in that? So I think
I mean, either way, like as much as I want to like bitch about it, I am so grateful for the way it panned out. I am so grateful that it was not years. And I was talking to my therapist about this. It really did work out, I guess, the best way it could have. I'm happy that it worked out this way because he got caught, and I'm happy that he didn't, oh, let's just cancel the trip and then get away with it. You know what I mean? I'm happy that like, I, for myself, could see his true colors. Because if it did happen that way, I would just constantly wonder, like, what did
the
I
hell
do?
did I do
Like,
wrong?
why did it just switch?
Yeah.
Because, you know, he would have, like, hidden. It had been this whole thing. Or, you know, even on the trip, I'm like, there's so many moments where, like, he was, like, showing me stuff, and I wanted to be like, oh, what's that video? Like, from his birthday. Because weird, he didn't send me anything. He sends me stuff all the time. So I did like think like, oh, that's kind of weird. He didn't send me anything, but we FaceTimed at his party, so like we're fine.
Yeah.
All his friends knew he was leaving the next day. Like, oh, didn't know all your friends were coming up for your lie, but so I like think about stuff like that where I'm like, oh, I wanted to ask him to show me those videos. I'm happy I didn't, because then he could have just been like, oh, that's just my friend. And I would have had no reason not to believe him. But it's like, because I saw it as hidden, and because like all these little things that like worked out perfectly, I'm happy it played out that way, because any other way he could have just talked himself out of it. Unless I had found out that it was hidden, because that's what gave it away, that you're hiding something. Obviously it all worked out the way that it should have. I'm happy it didn't happen on like the last day of vacation. Everything happens the way it should be. But talking about crying and talking about vacations, as a mom, as my mom, time to trigger you. What is it like to have your daughter call you and she's stuck in in Mexico, and she's like scream crying on the phone and is like, I just got cheated on? Like, what does that do to you as my mother? On the other end, being like, I can't physically help you.
Yeah, well, it's not a phone call you want, and I know you were hurting so bad, and I just couldn't fix it.
Yeah.
And not to be mean about it or anything, but I couldn't fix it. But I also knew you were a grown woman, and I knew that I was gonna obviously do whatever the hell I had to get you out of that situation. I kept telling you, we'll figure it out. When you were losing your shit, I'm like,
oh, I was losing my shit. When my flight got canceled. I was like, I'm gonna be stuck here in a hurricane.
Yeah, and I'm like, everything is gonna be okay. Breathe. We'll figure it out. Even though Mama Bear would have kicked in, I didn't care what flight I had to book. I didn't care. I told you, Van, even if I just get you a damn hotel and you hide at that damn hotel for God knows when till you can come home, that's what we'll do. But at the same time, even though I was doing my thing, I also knew that as a woman, you were figuring your shit out, as hard as it was. And the other blessing to me is that I knew you had a strong community of women that had your back.
Oh, 100%.
You know, so I think that gave me peace.
Yeah.
And knowing that it wasn't just me and you trying to figure it out. In the midst of everything, still figuring it out. Yeah. You know, you knew like, okay, I have to get myself out of this situation. You knew what you needed to have to do for you. Whether it was finding, like I said, somewhere else to stay, you know, getting the next flight out of there with a hurricane coming down, you know, gun slamming on you. Like every possible stressful situation was thrown at you, but you still, and I think you have to, like, now we can reflect and we can laugh about it, and it was not a laughable moment at that time, but what you do have to step back and see, and despite the anxiety and despite the tears and despite, you know, everything, you really do have to step back and say, I conquered that. I got through it. When I didn't think I was going to get through it, like, I knew that as your mom, you would get out of it.
Yeah.
I gave you suggestions. You're an adult woman. You have a strong community of women also supporting you.
Yeah.
But I also, as a mom, knew you had to.
How to do it.
You had to do it. Because if not, it's like you needed to get your power back.
Mm-hmm. Especially in that kind of sense, in that moment where I felt like completely stripped of it.
Yeah, like I just needed to give you that, like I said, give you your power and let you know, like, I can do this. And not let anxiety, not let the stress, not let anything, like, just strip you down even more. And I think, and I mean, believe me, I was stressed. Your stepdad was stressed. He was like, what do we have to do to get her out of there? What do you know? He's like, who do we pay?
Take my money.
At the same time, I'm like, I know she's safe, and that's all that it was important to me. It's like, are you safe?
Yeah.
But like I said, I think it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard. It's always hard I don't care how old your children are.
Yeah.
I don't care if you were in your 40s and going through this.
Yeah. It's just like the reaction.
Yeah, it's that, like, how dare you hurt my baby?
Yeah.
Anybody, and it could have been, it could have been any situation. Like I said, when you're just not around and you just can't get to somebody. So yeah, it was hard. I cried. I was, feeling your stress of not being able to protect you.
Yeah.
And how dare somebody, do this to you? But at the same time, I'm like, well, shit, this is like a really hard life lesson that, many of us go through. And it's just something that, like I said, I did kind of step back and I was still here for you. Mm-hmm. And I was still trying.
And you gave me like space too. Like once I was on the flight and I was like, I'm home, I kind of just like threw my phone away. And I noticed that you're like, I'm checking in. And then I think you gave it like 2 days or something. And you were like, wait, do you want to have a phone call? Are you okay? And I was like, I'm currently crying in my car. She's like, okay, let's talk. Like, so yeah, it was a very gradual. It was like, okay, like when I first found out, you were like one of the first people I called. And then once my flight got canceled, I was like, okay, I'm like, Mom, make sure. That just whole thing was crazy. And then it's like when I was on the phone with you, he then started crying. And I was just like, Mom, like, keep me locked in because like I wanted to go off on that man. Like, why are you crying? Yeah. Why are you crying?
Yeah.
I know why I'm crying. Yeah. Why the hell are you crying?
Because I got caught.
Yeah. Literally, because I got caught and I'm so embarrassed. And now, like, you're on your phone with your mom.
Yeah. As a mother, and when maybe some of you guys are moms and are listening to this, those that will be moms in the future, or even like you have a niece or anybody that you truly love and care, it's hard. It's hard, but at the same time, it was one of those moments that as a mom, I knew I had to step back and let you do you so that you could believe in you.
Yeah.
And like I said, even coming back is just checking in as long as I knew you were safe. And the number 2 is the community of women that surrounded you.
I have the best.
Was amazing. And I do hope and pray that for your listeners out there that they have that they find that community of people, of souls that will, in your darkest moments, when you are down, that will be there to say, I got your back. And we all need that. And like I said, and you have that. Yeah. So I knew you were going to be okay. So Mama Bear, step back. Yeah. And let your community of women and friends, men included, come, support you, lift you up. Hear you cry, hear you scream, hear you cuss people out.
Oh, I went to a rage room. Did I show you this? My bruise from my rage room?
Yes, and it's whatever you need to clear your soul of just this,
that
whatever.
Experience. And
then that's when I'm like, I check in.
Yeah, periodically, like, just like, we're so good,
I think it was your stepdad that was like, how's she doing? He was so stressed out too. Like, is she okay? Is she?
Well, because he's also never seen this side of me.
Yeah, and
I mean, he saw my breakup with my ex, but it's just like,
and it's
this hit different.
Yeah, and as like I said, I mean, even as a father, as anybody that you love, like I said, adopted, whatever, you get hurt, and I think he was just as anxious, and I'm like, I need to give her space. I said, I will check in on her. I make sure she's good. I checked in, through your friends. I'm like, just tell me she's good. That's all I need to know. Just tell me. And they'd be like, I got her. Perfect. Yeah. Gave you your space. And then it's like, okay, baby girl, let's talk. Yeah. I need, now Mama Bear's going to check in on you and see, like, tell me, just open the soul, let it out. Because by then, I think also you needed that time just to,
because I was like on fight or flight, and
Yeah.
I was like, I needed to come back down from like the fight of like, okay, you got back home, you're safe.
and I think that's what I told you, Mike, but you're home. You're okay. And as long as I know you were okay, you were, again, surrounded by love and comfort and people that got you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the big thing too. And it's funny that you say that, like, that you had to step back, have this lesson, or just like to prove to myself, because that is one thing I've realized. And as I, tell people what happened at any age, I've been like, oh wow, you left? Like, you got a flight and you left? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, wow, you're so strong. And I'm like, that didn't even like cross my mind as an option to stay. And I don't think you, like, that's also to you, like, you never were like, well, what if we don't get a flight? Like, what if you just, you know what I mean? So I think that also goes to show of like, where I got that from, is to be like, no, like, this isn't, like, you wronged me. This isn't an option to like talk out or for me to stay. I think also by you just like letting me and not fixing it, which not like that's what our relationship is. It's not like I call you, you're like, okay, baby girl, like, I'm this rich parent that's gonna fix it.
I am not that parent.
No, it's always been like, figure it out. Like, I got myself to LA by like all of these things. That is why I'm so independent. But
I support you.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
let's get that. I support you
me,
and
but
I encourage you, but
you're not a parent that's like, oh, you have a problem, let mommy fix it.
No.
Like, so far from that.
I will guide you, and I will.
You'll support.
I support you. I'll guide you, but I will not fix it for you.
No, and I think that is a huge thing. Even how you went about this, I still had to figure out. Like, I booked my flight. I did this. I did that. I called you so I wouldn't have a panic attack. Yeah, coming back home and even reflecting and telling the story to people and them being shocked by my actions, I've been like, oh shit, you're right. Like, okay, I always say I'm independent and that like I got this, and I'm like, oh no, like this really did prove that to me that I did. And so I think exactly like without me even noticing that that's what it was, but I'm like, oh yeah, I got my power back, and now I feel even more empowered to like not let anyone do that, because if I can do that in a different country, figuring it out and all the hurdles that I had to do, it'll be damn easy the next time a guy tries to wrong me in LA, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna drive back home. Like, this is cake compared to what I had to do. And so I think, yeah, all of that was like a really eye-opening, and more time goes on, I'm just like, oh wow, like I kind of am the shit. And
well, like I said, you figure it out, and I think you have to go through these experiences, and I'm not saying just cheating, like just life experiences to make you figure out that, you know what, I got this, I got me. I will figure it out. And sometimes it's so hard because we expect sometimes other people to fix it for us, and I think you just have to kind of say, no, I got this.
Yeah.
I got me. I'll figure it out one way or another. At least that's the way I grew up.
Yeah.
I had parents, that loved me and had my back, but that they let me fall all the damn time. And that's who made me who I am today. Because now when things happen and I'm like,
I don't need anyone. Like, I'll figure it out. And like you said, I have that community, which I'm so incredibly grateful for. And as you've seen, it was not like that before. My first, it's taken me 5 years to get this community in LA, because you saw me before when I had no friends and I was like, I need to move back home. And you're like, well, you signed a year lease, so figure it out. And I'm like, I ain't gonna go insane. And then a pandemic happened, which leads me to my next question, and maybe now my last question, because we've been yapping so much, but kind of more lighthearted, but also not really. It's completely serious. As my mom, how does it feel to see all these boys keep fucking me over? Like, none of them have been good. How does that feel? Like, are you just like giggling? Like, oh my God, my daughter, you really know how to pick them?
Well, no, because people can say the same thing about me.
Well, I want to know from your point of view as my mom, like, every time I call you and I'm like, okay, so get what he did. Are you like, like, what? Like, what is...
No.
It's been years of this.
But don't we all have years of this? I mean, some are blessed.
Yeah.
To find that person early on. Okay.
But I feel like I have like the craziest story. Like, I know there's crazier, but you know what I mean? I feel like I've never just had one where it's like, oh yeah, me and this guy didn't work out, mom. It's like, oh, this guy ghosted me. Oh, this guy randomly told me after a date night that he wasn't in love with me anymore, and I have to kick him out and live with him for 2 months and then work with him every single day.
Yeah.
Or like, oh my God, this man like was doing X, Y, and Z, and then he asked me if he could go sleep with other women. Like, I never come to you with like a cute little story. It's always the most turn of events. And I feel like you're always just like, okay, Mia. But I need to know, like, what's going on in your head? Are you just like, is this girl ever going to get it right?
No, because I don't think it's about you getting it right.
Well, clearly.
I mean, but that could be said for me.
Yeah.
That could be said for anybody who's been in multiple relationships just trying to figure it out. We all have different relationships and shit that happens, and no, I do not sit back and go like, oh, Dios mío, why does this happen to me? Or what's wrong with, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you.
Well, I know that. It's not me, but I think like for me, like, are you just like, where does she like find these men?
No.
Are you just like, this is just kind of like life?
I honestly, I do. I just feel this is life, and we meet people for a reason. Mm-hmm. They're either a lesson
or a blessing.
Honestly, as you reflect back, hasn't this made you, honestly, I mean, every situation, haven't you literally learned something that has made you a better person, or to know yourself better, to say, okay, yeah, I didn't know, I didn't like that, or I didn't, it's
I didn't know I didn't like cheaters. Now it's confirmed for the third time.
But you can't control what comes your way. No.
But are you ever like, why are these men not seeing her worth?
Well, that pisses me off. In that sense, yes, because like, do they not see your worth? The strong, truly strong woman that is supporting herself, taking care of herself. You are loving, you have a good heart, you have a good soul. So yeah, that part just pissed me off, because it's like, why don't others see you, I mean, the way I see, but I'm like, well, shit, I'm her mom, and I see these good qualities, but hey, I'm here I'll call out your bad ones too, what I mean?
Tell the people.
But yeah, I think it hurts me for you, because I'm like, damn it, don't people see what I see? But you know what? I think people do see what we all see, and I think there's just a way of them like, yeah, it's just not for me.
Or it's like, she's too, like, I need someone that will let me get away with my shit.
Yeah.
What I've been told. I need less.
Yeah. And you know what? And there's going to be people who are okay with that. And then there's others that aren't. And I don't like that people don't see people for who they truly are.
Or they see it, but they don't respect it for what it is. Because like, same thing. I think all of my exes have seen it. I think that's what draws them to me. And like, even with Italian Man, like, even in his last text to me saying all these amazing things, it's just like, but then you still did what you did. And I think that's where it gets like...
And I think that's, like you said, that they have this image of like, we all want a strong, independent...
They all want it until they have it.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I wanted... That's a bit much.
Oh, she actually has opinions and a voice and is going to voice them to me and call me out on my shit.
Yeah.
And I need someone that's like, oh, you lied, it's okay. I'll be understanding.
And like I said, there's understanding to a point. And there's compromise to a point.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, is like, they think that's what they want in somebody. And this goes both ways. You can say you've dated somebody because they brought something to the table that you thought you wanted. Come to find out it's not what you wanted, right? I mean, you've learned that too.
Yeah.
But no, Mija, I don't think that there's something that I can say, oh shit, what's wrong with my girl? Or where does she find this man? No, I honestly don't. Because I just think, like I said, I truly believe people do come into your life for something.
Yeah.
And some people are going to be a couple pages in your book, and some people are going to be a chapter or two in your life, but that you just keep
sometimes you just throw the whole book away.
And start from scratch. But then that this is you, this is your story, this is
what makes us who we are. And
exactly, like I said, and from Italian Man to any other ex-boyfriend, it's just kind of like, yeah, did that hurt? Did that suck? Yeah. And you can sit here and question like, but shit, I'm this age. Who said that there's a set age for anything?
And I will say, I think that is something that my mom... I think even over time, you've gotten a lot more aware and better and better. I think especially compared to other parents. But that is one thing that because I definitely get in my head of like, oh, I'm not married. Oh, I don't, like, especially when I come back home. Like, I was at your damn wedding last night and everyone had 2 kids. And like my cousins that are younger than me, like 17, this is my boyfriend. I'm like, I'm 29. I didn't bring my dogs. I have no boyfriend. I don't have my house. I don't have kids. I'm nowhere. I'm now further than I've ever been from that. And I think I get in my head when I come back home about that. And I think that's one thing that you're always like, you're good. I feel like most parents are like, when am I going to have grandbaby? When are you going to get a husband? And that's not one thing you've ever pushed or questioned at all. And I think that definitely helps a lot, because I don't feel this like overbearing, like, oh my God, I need to give my mom grandbabies. I mean, I think maybe it's becoming more of a reality for you that you're not going to get that anytime soon. But I think that is something that I'm very grateful for, because I'm like, everyone else around me says it, like grandparents and cousins and aunt and uncle, but you're always the one that's like, you're good. Like, there's no timeline.
I said, no, you are on your own road, doing your own thing, doing your own path. And like I've told you, as long as you're good with you
Yeah.
and with your life, and no, it's not perfect, but if you're good for you, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Like I've always told you, everything else around you is chatter, right? Who am I as your mom to tell you,
I need this.
no, you go and do you, boo. Isn't that what I tell you all the time?
Yeah.
You do you, boo. And whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you. You know, even it was like, I want to be an actress, I want to do this. Great, go do it. I never want you to feel like to have any regrets, because I have some of my own.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, you've always been like, go.
Yeah, because I don't ever want you to sit back and say, I wish I would have. Screw that. Go and do it.
Yeah.
Go fall on your face. Have I told me, I'm like, Miha, you're going to fall on your face so many damn times that you know what? You're going to get back up. And you're like, oh shit, I don't want to trip again. I don't want to fall. So I learned from that. So I'm going to pivot and go here.
And I think even like with me going on my trip, when I would tell you like, oh, I'm scared, I'm this, and you were like, well, there's only one way to find out. Like, you just have to go and see what happens.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, but I'm going to get hurt. And you're like, well, you have to go.
Yeah.
Because else you're going to spend your whole life wondering how it would have panned out.
Exactly. Like, why live with the regret of, oh, damn, you know, I wish I could have, I wish I would have. And that's, like I said, part of my, damn, I wish I would have taken that scholarship and moved to Florida. And that would have thrown my trajectory
Everything
of
would
my
have been
life,
different.
you know, completely different. But it's a regret that I have. And it's because I didn't have that support system. So with you, it's like, you want to do that? Go for it, honey. You want to do this? It could sound so crazy in somebody else's reality and what they feel is in their circle. Everybody else has kids. Everybody else is married. And your daughter, how old is she? Is she married? Does she have kids? And I'm like, no, she's doing her. And I'm so proud of that. And you know, I'm proud of that because even...
Oh, yeah, you freaking show my movie with my fucking titties out. She had a whole screening.
Yeah, I did. But you know what? That's the community of people that I have.
They're like, I'm going to support it.
Because they're just as excited to be able to say, she is doing her. And they see how I'm excited about she's doing what she's said she'd do. Because most people talk about what they would do, but don't do it. You are doing it. And it's not easy. And you probably picked, you know, an industry that, you know what? That industry just takes you down.
Yeah.
You know?
And you put me in it like when I was 8 years old, and I'm like, damn.
Well, actually, when, you know, a little younger, but
Yeah.
it's not my fault you were cute since you were, you know, that you were that young, but it's...
Bug eyes.
But
But
like I
I've been in it for my literal whole life.
Somebody, you know, at the mall came up and they're like, oh my God, that little girl is so cute. And boom, it started since you were 4.
Yeah.
And even as you went through it, I always thought like, okay, this was going to be your career. And but when you got serious, like, Mom, I really want to do it. And like I said, I think that's just it. I've always told you. Do it. Be smart about it. Have a plan. You know, don't go out there and be up in deja.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
go out there and really think about it. Don't give up on yourself. And even in those moments when
There's been plenty, yeah.
I think I'm done. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I know you think you're done and I'll support that. But in my gut, I don't think you're done.
Yeah. I don't think I'll ever be done.
And, you know, and who knows what that is. And like I said, because there is no timeline, folks, we are so in our culture or whatever it is that you might say that there's like, you have to have X by this age, you know, you have to be X at this point. You have to be this, you know, actress with a Golden Globe by the time, you know, you're whatever. It's not. I mean, look at actresses now that, you know, are much older. They're in their 50s, 60s, and their careers are taking off. There is no time.
Yeah.
Like I said, and your moment will come when your moment will come.
Yeah.
Whether that is for your career, whether that is for love, whether that is for anything else that's meant for you, it will come when it's meant for you at the time
when
that
you're
it's
ready for it. Yeah.
Like I said, you just have to be open about it. And I think that's kind of, as we kind of sum this up, it's like love hurts, but it's love. And we all want it. You know, we all want happiness. We all want to feel safe. We all want to feel supported and heard and validated for the human being and soul that we are, right? And when those things are hurt, and when people hurt us intentionally or unintentionally, because it can be both ways, like I said, it brings self-doubt.
Yeah.
It questions your self-worth. It questions your ability to, damn, is my radar off that bad? But it's like, no, because you know what? We were following our heart. We were trusting the process. We were, falling in love. We were going for the dream. Whatever it is, you are following what you feel is good. Because you guys, come on. If we all walked around with these barriers and these set expectations on how shit's supposed to plan out, that's not life.
I think it's because of you that I was so stern on that. Even in Mexico with Italian Man, him being like, oh, but like our future and this, and like, how would it work? How would it work? How would it this? And I literally went, I don't know. But every single time that I've planned my life out, it's never gone that way. And anytime I've just been like, I know that I want this, I'll figure it out. I figure it out. I was like, I can't tell you how it's going to work. I can't tell you this, that. That is something that I've taken just for life in general. And, something that I was telling him, and, he was kind of like, oh, yeah, I guess that's right. I was like, yeah, tell me that when your perfect life plan worked out. Because you wouldn't be here if that was the case. And I have to also remind myself about that towards this. Okay, I thought that this is where my life was. I thought I was gonna be spending my summers in Italy.
I thought I was gonna be going to Italy, I thought I was gonna have grandbabies, people.
Yeah, literally. And that's something that you have to get over, like, because we planned our future, we talked about 6 months in Italy in the summer and then the other 6 in LA and the business that we would start in LA, all these things. Okay, that didn't work out and that's a plan I thought. But anytime I thought I had a plan and it gets redirected, it's always been a better redirection.
It always is.
That's why I just have to like pull myself out of it. And, oh, I'm so upset. Oh, I thought I would have this. And, oh, that's the life I always wanted. And it's just like, no, the life that is meant for you is what's going to come in, not the life that you thought you wanted.
Yeah.
So a rich man, that is the thing that you've always kind of said of just like it's going to pan out the way it's going to pan out. If that didn't work for you, it's because a better opportunity is coming.
Yeah. Like I said, in the moment, in any moment in our lives when shit goes awry, it's easy to get stuck there. One of the things my dad always instilled, it's like, shit's going to happen. Ain't going to be pretty, folks. And in those dark moments and in those whatever moments that you are, go through it, feel it, learn from it. But he always said, never stay there.
Yeah. And that's been my huge thing
kind
always.
Of keep me moving forward.
Yeah.
And if a door shuts, we try to nudge it open. Here's the thing. We do try to nudge it open. Okay? Because there is hope of something, right? Yeah. But if you have to push so damn hard that you can't even nudge the door a little, then that's when just leave that damn door shut and go out the window.
Yeah.
Because sometimes there is things in life that are worth fighting for. And sometimes that you need to know when to push and when to leave shit shut. And as much as it's going to hurt to shut that door and to move on and climb out the window, because that's the only exit you have out, in those moments, just remember that there's a reason for it. You might not know why the hell it's happening. And it's easy to say, why is it happening to me? Yeah. But remember, why is it happening for me? There's a big difference in that statement. And I think that's where, like I said, those words of wisdom, even from Pops, feel it, be in that bottom, but always move forward, because it's easy to sit in that pity of whatever it is we're going through.
Woe is me.
Because if you stay closed, even to love, Ann, even if you come sit like, screw, man, I'm never going to find my true love. Well, then you're not.
Yeah, you're just like attracting that energy.
Exactly, because you're just going to stay there, because you're just going to be angry.
I've made that very clear, I think, to everyone and even to him. I'm like, you're not worth me being upset. Like, I'll have my moment. This happened like a couple weeks ago. I'll be angry, but like, exactly, it's not worth me ruining what could be for him.
And I know we talked about this, and you're like, oh shit. And I'm like, what's meant for you will be for you. And like the whole relationship, like, how do I feel about all this shit happening to me? Or do I question, are you making wrong choices? I'm like, no, these are just freaking lessons to get you to see exactly what the hell you want. To get you to when you finally meet that one person, whether it's next week or in 2 years or whenever the hell it happens, you're going to be so secure about it and you're going to be so smart about it. Then like, that's it. Yeah. That's it. And whenever it happens, it freaking happens. Like I said, there is no timeline. Yeah. I thought there is just no timeline in how you fall in love. Love is no time.
I know. That's why I was like, oh, this is what they talk about in the movies. And I'm in love. Oh my God.
There is no time. And that's just it about life. Yeah. Whose timing are you on? You're on your damn time. Yeah. So with that, Mihan, like I said, no, I don't question. Do I hate that this happened to you? Absolutely. Do I, all of that hurt. Just, you went through it. I hurt for you. We hurt for you. Those that love you hurt for you. At the end, it's done. Does this guarantee that it's never going to happen to you again? Screw that. We never know. Are you going to continue to doubt yourself? Probably. But should you, like I said, I think there's still hope for all of us that it goes on. Have your moments, bitch it out, cry it out, bang it out, do whatever the hell you have to release all that and then move forward. And still be optimistic and still believe and still, like I said, in the back of your head, I know that will always be that doubt. There will always be this what if, but we can't live in the what if. We have to just believe in whatever comes our way. And when you find love, you find love. And if it's meant for you, it's going to stick around. You're not going to have to question that.
Exactly, because it is what it is.
It is what it is. And as long as you can live with that,
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. Like I said, things really do happen to you for a reason.
As they should.
As they should. And not in your control.
Clearly. Well, thank you, Mom. That was some nice little motherly advice. And I hope that someone else can take some of the things that she said and either apply it to yourself, tell a friend, phone a friend. Thank you for being my very first guest.
Thank you for having me. It was truly an honor. And like I said, you just mentioned that they really take something away from it.
Yeah.
Like I said, through the hurt, through the pain, that you get past that, not stay there. And like I said, not give up on living. Just keep doing you, boo.
Yeah.
And I love you.
Love you.
That's it, folks.
Yeah, you can follow me at Is What It Is with Van on Instagram and TikTok or at Savannahmares. Anything you want to plug? Your Venmo?
Yeah, your Venmo. You need it more than I do.
My Venmo is Savannah-Mares. It's a picture of me and my goggles. But, okay.
I'm proud of you.
Thank
and
you,
I
Mama.
love you.
I love you. Congrats on being married.
Yeah. Like I said, it works out.
It works out, folks. Okay.
Alrighty. Peace out.
Have some menudo?